I just want to understand your answer to the question. So you're saying Mario tried something new, which is entering the RPG space, and that was wildly successful?
It was, and then they ruined it.
All right, great. Just want to get it for the record.
Just so you
Okay.
all know, they ruined it.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!
Welcome to the Cable Club. Today, we're uploading data from us to you. We're your hosts. I'm Steve,
I'm Dan.
Dawn.
and we're the Cable Club. Today, we're going to be doing one of our three kinds of episodes. If you guys had seen our other two kinds of episodes, we had the Victory Road, where we talked about Splatterhouse 3, and then we did a Wonder Trade, which was the infamous Mega Man X7. But today, we're going to be doing an episode that we call Coliseum, also another Cable Club reference in the Pokemon series. Today, we're going to be basically comparing and trying to win over Don here um, about which game that we think is better. He's going to award points based on certain things, and we'll get more into that. But just so you guys know, we're doing Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, released in 1991, versus Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, the combination, released in 1994 on the Sega Genesis.
Lock on technology.
Ooh.
The Tower of Power.
Before we get started, look, it finally came in.
Oh wow, look at that.
That's
Yeah, I
sweet.
got my own physical copy of Sonic and Knuckles. I had ordered it pretty much when we drew these games, and it took the guy all week to ship it. It didn't come in until yesterday,
Unbelievable.
so I did not get to play it on original hardware as I had intended.
You can't always win.
That's okay.
Dan's
I
going to
played
find
it.
that out.
Yeah, I like we were saying a little earlier. I played it on my Steam account. I played it on Sonic Origins, and apparently that
That's
was
it. Super
phenomenal.
Mario World already wins. We're done.
We
I
knew
don't
that was
know.
coming.
We'll see. We'll see.
I actually have Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles in my Genesis downstairs in my second living room. But
He even posed his daughter to act like she was interested in playing it for us and sent us a picture.
well, I don't have a Super Nintendo here at the house anymore, but I do have the Switch Online membership, so I can play Super Mario World on that, and legally and whatnot. So I have access to both of these games at home, and I do like them both quite a bit. But before we
You
get
know
into
what?
any
Could
of
I
that,
could I could I put a pin in that for a second? Hold on. So before we did that episode and you guys picked your games, so Steve has had a two-episode tendency to ruin the game that I'm currently playing outside of what I need to do for the podcast. So the first time it was he picked RPGs and I was playing an RPG and I didn't want to be playing four RPGs at the same time. This time he picked a Mario game and I was actually in the process of playing Mario Wonder. And I bring that up because, I don't know if it's that Nintendo in particular, or maybe it's all game development now. They just don't know how to edit. But I had such a better time playing Super Mario World than I was having playing Mario Wonder. And I'm not calling Mario Wonder a bad game at all, but I'm saying like I've noticed that Mario
Nostalgia.
Wonder has a lot of things that just don't um, need to be there. Like the badges. I equip the coin badge so that I get lives passively basically, and I don't have to shell out purple coins if I get a game over because I want to like 100% it quicker. So in other words, I'm basically playing without a badge, right? Because you don't get any movement or anything special. But like, I just feel like the purple coins probably aren't necessary. The movement badges are probably not necessary, and I just feel like I don't know. I had so much more fun somehow playing Super Mario World than I'm having playing this Mario Wonder that I've now gone back to. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have wanna run with that or
um, I don't
I'm
know. I
insane.
I like I like Wonder, and the badges are cool. it just adds a little bit more variety. If you want to do things a certain way, if you want to equip like the wall jump badge, or if you want to equip the floating hat badge or whatever, it kind of gives you more options. And there's nothing wrong with more options. Like, they don't force you to use them, and that's the best way to implement those new ideas, in my opinion. Like, I think it was fun and unique. And actually, my favorite part of the game wasn't even the regular levels, it was the badge challenges. Like, just because you got to play Mario in a whole new way.
I do like them that that way. Yeah, like I kind of like them being mandatory for those challenges and mixing it up. Yeah.
But Super Mario World, in my opinion, is timeless, and Wonder's not going to be. Just, I don't know. Like, there's something about retro games that I just love more than current games.
Well, I think you just said it right there. I don't because like Super Mario Wonder, I feel like the hype was like such a big build up, and then it came out, and then it just feels like nothing. And here we are in 2023 talking about Super Mario World. I just don't see the I don't know. Maybe it's just me being older. I just don't see Super Mario Wonder having that kind of staying power, frankly. So
Yeah, probably not. I mean, it's not like Super Mario World, Super Mario 3, Super Mario 64. Like, even, I know there's a lot of people that like Sunshine, but it didn't stay. A lot of people don't talk about that. A lot of people do talk about Galaxy and,
I think
Mario 64.
the 64, in my opinion, was better than Sunshine, personally. It could be
Yeah.
nostalgia goggles, but I had way more fun with the 64.
I like them
there's
both,
a
but
lot
I
more
like 64.
collectibles in Mario Sunshine. Like, aren't there like for 200 shines or something like that?
I don't think so. I think it's 120 shines, 120 stars in 64. Each level has an 8 red coins. I think it's the same.
Oh, I haven't actually played that one. So I
Well,
didn't mean to steal it there, but I'll send it back to Dan for our question of the week.
Alrighty. So, our question of the week comes from a good friend from high school, Doug. His question is, what video game series do you feel tried something new and succeeded? That's honestly a pretty interesting question. So I guess I'll take over for first for the question. For me, I'm gonna pick Smash Brothers. To this day, it's a juggernaut of a series and practically created its own genre, being a platform fighter and all. Other companies have tried to make clones, like I don't know, like Rivals of Ether, Multiverse. There's a Nickelodeon Smash, but no one has perfected the formula as like Smash Brothers has.
yeah,
Like the to put it into like a perspective, every time there's like a Nintendo Direct, you always see like say if you're watching it on a stream or something, you always see the chat. They're like, "When Smash Brothers coming up? When Smash Brothers coming up?" Even if it's as small as like a DLC, like a character, people just love Smash Brothers, and they to this day, it's one of the best-selling fighting games of all time. It's insane. What do you guys think?
I think that Melee is the best.
Melee's the best.
Come on, Dad. Let's take you inside.
Much. I mean, Melee's definitely better than Brawl, but I thought Smash 4 and obviously the new one, Smash Ultimate, I actually think are both better than
Even like
Melee.
the crossovers that they have, like you have like Final Fantasy VII Cloud,
Yeah.
Hero from Dragon Quest, Banjo Kazooie, like the list goes on. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool that they got so many, I don't know, signatory, basically, companies to lend their
Yeah,
character over for the game, and it's really neat.
it boggles my mind. Like, how do they get like someone like Cloud into their game? It's like when I remember like watching Smash 4, like when they did the direct and then they showed like Cloud, I was like I couldn't even like piece it together. I was like, is this really happening right now?
Sora and Mega
Yeah,
Man and Sonic, like
Megan,
everybody's
Sonic,
here.
yeah. Snake from Metal Gear. It's crazy.
From a marketing standpoint too, it's really good. It's a good way for them to kind of suss out the popularity of these characters for future games. Like I think it's a good way to keep characters alive, like Mega Man, for instance. I don't think I'm not sure he would have gotten a Mega Man 11 if he wasn't in Smash prior to that. Honestly,
Yeah, it's a
That's
strong
possible.
possibility.
I'm still waiting on another Banjo Kazooie. Hopefully, more like the first game than any of the others.
I remember like back in the day, you were so excited for Nuts and Bolts,
Yeah, what a letdown.
and it was a letdown. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah. See, like I could see us getting another Banjo Kazooie game now because Banjo and Kazooie are in Smash, and I feel like there's a lot of people that would be like, oh, hey, that was a great game back in the day. Maybe there'll be enough push for it.
Yeah, like so in Ultimate, they literally added every character in the game that's been from the first one all the way till now. So there's like 80 something characters in the game. So if they ever do a new Smash game, it's like how are they gonna top that? That's
I feel like
insane to me.
Sakurai doesn't want to. Somebody's gonna have to take it over.
Yeah, I don't see it like being topped. I mean, maybe like fundamentals wise, like mechanics, maybe the game might play better and people might prefer it, but like I don't know. Ultimate is such a juggernaut, like with all like the extra characters from different games and whatnot. It's like they can't keep doing that forever. I just they would with the licenses and stuff.
In my opinion, if they were to do another Smash game, I would really want them to put L canceling and wave dashing in, but not put it in the tutorials and not put it in so that it doesn't overwhelm people for their party game aesthetic or what they're going for, but it has a deeper level of play for the people that want to be serious. Like
Yeah,
everybody still played Melee for fun back in the day. The really serious people played competitively. They would do the techs and they would, get into all the nitty gritty inside the engine and the way the game performed, and they took advantage of that for competition. But it didn't hurt anybody. And that even happens with Smash Ultimate. Like there's plenty of casual people and then there's plenty of competitive people who use like um auto canceling aerials and all kinds of ledge techniques that you wouldn't normally do and like all kinds of stuff. So like, I think it's better with the deepness of the engine of Melee, but have all the characters in it. Like, Project M was so cool and that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's nice. Well, anyways, how about you, Don? What did you pick for an answer to the question?
I'm actually going to say Resident Evil.
Oh,
So they,
very good.
started out as a horror game, and they had a couple of installments. I guess you can only scare people the same way so many times, so the games just got like when you brought in Team Stars and you brought in Leon Kennedy and you had all these cool characters, and they are iconic. They're very neat. But the series kind of evolved into this more actiony style of game, and I think a lot of people that are longtime fans of the series criticize that direction, especially when you start to get down the line to the fifth and the sixth game. But then, Resident Evil 7 came out, and they really, really, they took it as a first person game, and they really, really like dove into that like horror element, and people loved it, and now there's a sequel to that game, and I don't keep up to date so much on that series, but it doesn't seem like they're actually going to go back in the direction that they were. Like you still have some of the characters, right?
Right.
And they remade Resident Evil 4, but as far as like the mainline, they are iconic. They're very neat. But the series kind of evolved into this more actiony style of game, and I think a lot of people that are longtime fans of the series criticize that direction, especially when you start to get down the line to the fifth and the sixth game. But then, Resident Evil 7 came out, and they really, really, they took it as a first person game, and they really, really like dove into that like horror element, and people loved it, and now there's a sequel to that game, and I don't keep up to date so much on that series, but it doesn't seem like they're actually going to go back in the direction that they were. Like you still have some of the characters, right?
Right.
And they remade Resident Evil 4, but as far as like the mainline game goes, I don't know that we're going to get like a you know Chris Redfield or like a Leon Kennedy like smash them up kind of a game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big Resident Evil fan, and I I love like Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong. Um, so they kind of introduced like a new character in Resident Evil 7. His name's Ethan Winters, and they kind of went for like a more realistic take. He's not like some like STARS member or a secret agent that like literally destroys like zombies like with no problem. Like he's just like some regular dude that is just trying to get out of this like farm area. Like I think he like so basically in 7 he goes into like this farm type area, and it's like it's supposed to be like really scary, and it's got like all this like underground stuff. But what I'm trying to say is he's just a regular guy. He's not like a policeman or like a secret agent or anything.
He's got
But
magic potions.
yeah.
You can
Potion
But for
like
Salah.
me like
take severed fingers and stick them
yeah,
back on and put potion over it, and they're just like,
yeah,
here we go. You know,
I
I want
know.
to play 7. I haven't played it.
It's actually pretty scary. Like the first person view actually does it justice. But for me, like I really like the old characters to be honest. Like I love Leon Kennedy and all of them. They just ever since I was a kid, and I remember like Leon Kennedy in 2 was just like a rookie cop. Like he's just trying to survive, trying to get out of Raccoon City,
On my
and then
first day in the force.
yeah, and then he ends up surviving, and then the president or the government ends up realizing that this guy's the real deal, so they end up like training him for 5 years, and then he gets sent to what is it, like France or something, or Spain,
Spain.
and then he's like some like secret like super agent now, and he like kicks so much butt, it's like ridiculous, but that's
yeah,
when they
he's
like
kind of like
changed it.
he's kind of like blue-eyed and bushy-tailed in like Resident Evil 2.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very.
And then the confidence that he has in 4 is like ridiculous. Like nothing can phase him. Like he'll be in like this like dark, damp area. Like there's a part where like he falls like down into like this like dungeon area, and he's just like looking around like it's just another day at work, pretty much. But yeah, that's 4 was the where they actually took it to a different direction.
It was funny
And a
because
lot of
like
people,
right in the
well,
beginning after he fights in
hang on a
the
second.
village.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh 4 is actually considered like a lot of people's favorite, because Leon is just that good in the game, and like all the different mechanics that they added, and then like the over the shoulder view. And for me, like it's a pretty close second, but I do love the actual like uh the beginning of the series too, where it was like tank controls and stuff. But I understand like someone going into like that as like their first, they might not like it as much, which is understandable. Like Don said, they probably will not go back to that.
Probably
All right,
not.
what did you want to say, Steve? I'm sorry, I cut you
No,
off
that's all
there.
right. It's about how his whole like demeanor in the game is. You get into the village for the first time and you just fight like 30 zombie people, and they're like chainsaw guy and pitchforks and fire and all this, and the bell rings and they all leave and he just cracks a joke. Where'd everybody go? Bingo. Like he just let you're right, nothing phases him in it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how I was highlighting Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village in this conversation. You guys are like, you know what's good? Resident Evil 4, back when they were doing what they were good at.
It's so good though. Like they really hit it home with Resident Evil 4. And honestly, it's like then they remade 4. Like I still think like to this day like the original holds up. So I was kind of confused why they wanted to remake that one, but
Hasn't
they
Resident
actually
Evil
did.
4 been available on like every console since its release or something like
Yeah, pretty
that?
Yeah,
much.
It's like the modern day version of Doom. You can play it on like a
On a
calculator now.
TI calculator. Texas
Totally
Instrument,
ridiculous.
baby.
Yeah. All right, Steve, what you got? What game series are you picking?
So I'm gonna go with Mario and its divergence into the RPG realm. Um, so it will come to no surprise if you end up listening to the podcast for a while that Don and I have a deep love of Paper Mario on the N64.
I still gotta
It's
play those.
I play it annually.
Yeah, I do too. I don't have the 64, but I do have it on Virtual Console on my Wii, and I go back to it regularly. Um, and it's one of my most like beloved games, and I'm still really upset about it. So About it, they ruined it. They ruined it.
Okay. So are you saying that the Mario RPG game series is successful because they tried something different and screwed it up?
It was successful. It was very
Okay.
successful, and it still is to a part. Like you have the Paper Mario series, which tapered off after the second game. Unfortunately, Sticker Star is not good. Color Splash is not good. However, Origami King isn't close to the original Paper Mario. It was still fun. I enjoyed it, but it's not the same. But you also have the Mario and Luigi games, and those games, I've played three of them. I think there's five of them. All the ones that I've played were really good. Um, I know they have the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and then they came out with Partners in Time, and then Bowser's
Partners
Inside
in Time.
Story.
Partners in Time gets a lot of flack, but I really liked it.
Yeah, that's one of the
You have
ones
to
I
use
haven't played.
you have to use four buttons instead of two because you get like the baby Mario and the baby Luigi, and they occupy the X and Y space. And I don't know why that just seemed to rub people the wrong way. It also comes into play puzzling wise, so I actually like that entry in the series a lot.
Yeah, I need to go back and play them when I have some time. Um, there's Paper Jam, which is like a cross up between the Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi games. And then the most recent one I think is Dream Team on the 3DS.
No, it's actually Paper Jam, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
They
sure
all
which
they
one
all
was
kind of
first.
have like gimmicks, right? Because like Mario and Luigi was like, Superstar Saga was like its first thing, and they went to the Bean Bean Kingdom, and then you had Partners in Time, where they had the babies,
Yeah,
and then you had Bowser's Inside Story, where
right.
you not only played as the Bros, but you also had sections where you actually like fully played in an RPG sense as Bowser, which was pretty cool. And then you had Luigi, the Dream Team, which is
Yeah.
about Mario going into Luigi's dreams, and
Yeah.
then you have Paper Jam. That one has the unique element of being hot garbage. It's just like soulless and not great. But hey, you got Paper Mario in that game, so you like this. Great.
And I do like the next game that I'm going to talk about. Uh, Super Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo. Everybody knows it, and it's going to segue us into the news. I'm going to let you start with the news anyway, but on the premise of Super Mario RPG, Don.
Wait, I just want to understand your answer to the question. So you're saying Mario tried something new, which is entering the RPG space, and that was wildly successful?
It was, and then they ruined it.
All right, great. Just want to get it for the record.
Just so you
Okay.
all know, they ruined it.
Ruined.
It was so good. Ugh.
As far as gaming news goes, I think it's shaping up to be a pretty slow December. But hey, the Mario RPG remake released, and personally, I played Paper Mario before I played Mario RPG. That's probably part of my problem. Um,
I didn't.
so I think Mario RPG is a fine game. I don't think it's as good as Paper Mario.
It's
Just,
on your wall. Where's Paper Mario? I don't.
I mean, it's up there
Oh,
because
is it?
it's rare. Paper
I
Mario's
see
there,
it. It's just hard to see.
Yeah,
right in front
that's
of
it.
Shining Force, right there. This remake is like basically the game with like a graphical update. I don't feel like they changed much at all, and they made it easier. I can't tell exactly, but they like your characters seem to hit a lot harder, even on normal mode, like with just regular attacks. But in addition to that, you could say the game is made easier by virtue of the systems they added, like the when you time a hit perfectly, it AoEs, and if you build up this like meter that lets you do a super attack. So even if they change nothing else, right, like that stuff already is going to make the game easier. There are like full cutscenes, which I guess is cool, but it's not really, I guess, for me because I'm not super nostalgic for that game. Maybe you guys are, and maybe that kind of appeals to you. they did very little updating to the soundtrack, and I know the composer turned out to be a big deal, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't find much special about the Super Mario RPG soundtrack at all. It doesn't sound like a Mario game. It doesn't sound like a JRPG from back in the day. It kind of does its own thing. But I mean, if you like whistling like camp whistles as like music, I guess it's your thing. I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Have you looked at anything? Are you gonna pick up your copies?
I don't know after that.
Well,
Well,
listen.
don't let me sour you.
No,
Yeah.
Don was saying that it is very close. Like a lot of people are really excited how faithful of a remake it was. But he was saying that the problems that do exist with the game on the Super Nintendo are still kind of there in like full effect. Like damage calculations are weird and like, the game is kind of the same as it was. So in your shoes, I would highly recommend you play it. If nothing else, like at least it's $60 instead of like 80 or 90 for the Super Nintendo cart. But also, like, unless you have a way to play Super Nintendo games on the go, like buying this for the Switch lets you play it wherever you want. So that's another upside to the Switch version. Um, and it has better graphics. I don't know if this music was redone or if it's still like 16-bit soundtrack. I don't know.
No, it's still it's definitely been redone, but it doesn't feel like they added,
New
anything to it.
tracks or anything.
Yeah, yeah, like they are definitely the same tracks. It just comes through as higher quality,
Well,
I guess.
all that being said, it's still a classic. And if you like RPGs, especially with action commands, I know I think it was last week we talked about retro consoles that we liked, and Dan, you said PlayStation, and Legend of Dragoon
Yeah.
was on that, has
Legend of
action
Dragoon,
commands. If you like action commands, then the Mario RPG series, that and Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door, are all going to resonate with you in a few kinds of arenas there. And I think you should play it, whether it's, you know, on the Switch or on the Super Nintendo. It doesn't matter to me
yeah.
which one you pick. But if you haven't, it's still a good game. Um,
I actually think they went a little bit further with like the action commands. Because in Legend of Dragoon, it's just, they're called additions, and you basically combo when you attack. You just got to hit a certain button. I know. I mean, I haven't like finished Mario RPG, but I know that you can actually like time to block and stuff and whatnot, and which you can't do in Legend of Dragoon. So it's a little more on hands in the battles.
yeah, they have
Yeah,
that in the Mario RPG series, like almost all
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, and I think that the Mario RPG series shines a little bit over the Legend of Dragoon installment. Uh, I guess because the action commands are all kind of different. Like,
Per types of
when
attacks.
yeah, when you play Paper Mario, right? You have the jump attack, which is push the jump button when you land on the enemy to jump a second time or deal more damage or whatever based on the game. But then you have like in Paper Mario, you have the hammer, so you have to like tilt the joystick back and you have to let it go at the right time to deal more damage. And then like every attack has its own action command basically. So you kind of have
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
just get better at it.
Oh, and in Paper
Uh,
Mario, all of your companions have all different, like at least two or three attacks, and they all have different action commands too. Like it's like
yeah,
playing mini games while doing an RPG battle. It's sweet.
and I love Legend of Dragoon, but I think in general RPGs are better um with action commands for sure.
Speaking of remake, Legend of Dragoon remake. Get on it, Sony.
Oh God, I've been calling for that for years, and
Yeah.
I'm certainly not
Is
alone.
is
I
Sony the directors and all that on Legend of Dragoon?
don't think
I,
so. I forget exactly.
I know. I think like on the case, I know it was like Sony, but I think it was Sony who like actually made the game. Don't quote me, but
That would be
I,
interesting.
Really should know that person that we brought up before, Doug, is probably yelling
I
at
know.
his computer right now.
I'm not gonna say anything to him. He's gonna have to find out by listening to the episode. He's gonna be like, "These guys, move over. I'm coming in. I'm telling them."
We just
Unbelievable.
lost the sub from our high school friend Doug.
He was only your best man. Unsubbing, unliking, 1-star review.
And Steve, you said you saw a game release coming up that you might be excited about.
Yeah, so when I was in the 5th grade, I went to the Boys and Girls Summer Camp program, and I had a Game Boy Color. And my parents knew that I loved Pokemon a whole lot because it was the year 2000, and Pokemon was huge at the time. So, along with Pokemon came all these other kinds of monster collecting things like Digimon and Neopets and, all of those things that all came alongside that.
Like Monster Fighter type stuff.
Yeah, Monster Rancher, that kind of stuff. My mom got me Dragon Warrior Monster for the Game Boy Color. And I didn't get like super far in it. I remember playing it some, but it was a little bit more like I don't know, it felt older than Pokemon in a way because it had that like classic Dragon Warrior like style battles. So it just felt kind of off to me. I was just getting into Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy 9 had just come out around then in 2000. And going back to this Game Boy game, it was really cool to me, but it didn't hold my attention like the newer games did at that time in my life. But they are coming out next month with a new Dragon Warrior Monster game for I think it's on multiple consoles, but yeah, it's got updated graphics like Dragon Quest 11.
Yeah,
So
it's like it's part of the Joker series, which I'm not a fan enough of the series to understand the delineation in the DQM lore. But like I know they came out with Dungeon Quest Monster Joker for the DS originally.
Yeah, I had that
And
one.
yeah, I had a copy of that, but I guess DMQJ is its own series, and this is the third one.
yeah, I was watching the trailer for it, and it seemed pretty cool because you could like fuse different monsters together and make new
Yeah,
monsters, and I don't know, it seemed pretty interesting. So it's something that I wanted to look more into, but I just found out about it like a few weeks ago, and
I
so
feel like
You
they're
can you
a
can
lot
fuse
harder
them in
than like
uh in
Pokemon.
in DQMJ too. I think that's maybe that's what it is because maybe you couldn't fuse them in the original, but
I don't
in the
remember it in the
DS
original.
Yeah,
in
DS
the
Confuse.
yeah yeah you can fuse. So maybe that's what makes it. I don't know. We should know.
I remember like I don't know if it's just because it's like a Dragon Quest type game, but I feel like it was much harder than Pokemon
Oh yeah,
because like
especially nowadays.
there'd be times where I'd get like floored by like a boss or something, and I'm just like maybe I'm under leveled or something, or maybe I didn't fuse the right monsters together. But it's like you don't really get that feeling with like Pokemon. But so I don't
Never,
know what it
not
is.
even as a kid.
Well, that's
There's
because you
like
use
Yeah,
no Pokemon boss that just like dog walks you,
yeah.
until you learn to get better. It just doesn't happen.
that's because you know type advantages.
And apparently the NPCs don't. I always felt like gym leaders should have their regional Pokemon and not a type.
Listen, the
Like
first time that I went up against Brock, first time ever, didn't know about the game really. Picked Charmander, didn't catch like anything. I was just going through scratching shit, and I got to Brock, and his level 14 Onyx was just it had too much.
Brock
I
the
just
Gatekeeper.
he beat me, and I went back, and I think he beat me a second time, and then I finally learned Ember, and he was no match then.
Go home, kid. You're not ready yet.
Yeah. But
suck.
oh, this lizard's terrible. Should have picked the turtle.
You didn't have Ember. You didn't get lucky and like burn the Onyx because that
No, I
also
didn't
would have
have
been
Ember
game
at the
over.
time. I didn't stop
Oh,
and do a bunch. I was just like going through and and I didn't I didn't fight the rival over by the elite or the Indigo Plateau area. On
You must
the
have blew your entire potion budget just on the Geodude alone.
it wasn't good.
You want a
That's
Pokemon
insane.
challenge? Do Nuzlocke.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I
Nuzlock's
want to
pretty hard.
do a gold and silver Nuzlocke with the ground type. Ground type only.
Yeah, but won't you need like a? I mean, when do you even encounter your first ground type? I think it's Wooper.
It could be. But I would probably just cheat for a regular ground type in the beginning as my starter.
Hmm.
Nothing too OP. Maybe it would just be Cubone,
Geodude.
like the good old days.
Somehow it comes full circle. We're a Pokemon themed podcast. We end up talking about Pokemon every episode. It's amazing.
What do you want me to do? It's too
Good. It's a good game series.
used
It
to be
really
good.
shaped a lot of my childhood.
Now
Yeah,
Scarlet
it
and
seems
Violet
like
are out, and it's just not as much fun.
you know what it is I feel like it's like they a series when it just keeps going, eventually they experiment a little too much and then it ends up falling off, right?
Pokemon didn't really deviate much from the formula. So,
Everybody complained about how it didn't, and then when it did, they're like, "No,
well, wait. Oh man, do we have enough time for this discussion now?
no,
Oh,
no, no, no. Let's
this.
keep moving." Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, we need to have our own episodes on stuff like this. I feel
We'll
like
get to it another
because
episode.
I could, yeah, we could do an entire episode on why that didn't work, and it's not because they tried something new. Uh, yeah. So
Such good programming.
yeah, we're gonna just move on. We're gonna get into the Coliseum. All right, so we brought up at the beginning of our show today that we have a few different episodes. We are a new podcast. We're still kind of experimenting. This episode is a type of episode called the Coliseum. So last episode, and what you as listeners don't know is that we had one Coliseum before when we were practicing, and maybe we'll release it someday as a joke if we become really good at this and popular, and or maybe we'll just leave it where it is and never talk about it again. But we did a Coliseum episode where we took Breath of Fire 2 versus Lufia 2. And essentially, Steve and I debated back and forth, and Dan was our judge and referee. And he awarded points based on our arguments, and Lufia 2 came out on top. So I get my reward was I got to pick the game of the week, which was our first episode here, Splatterhouse, and now I get to be the judge today. So Steve and Dan have each brought a game for us to play, and if you were listening last episode, you already know what they are. But I am going to pass it off to our first contender, Steve, over in this top right corner here on my screen. Steve, tell us about your game.
All right. So as stated earlier, my game is going to be Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Released in 1991. It was, you know, like all the other Mario games at the time. They weren't really like a full storyline or anything like that. So it's not like it's a direct sequel or anything, but just a little bit about it. If you haven't played it, maybe you know very young and haven't played it. Unfortunately for you, now's a good time. Mario is in a place called Dinosaur Island, and all of the baby Yoshi eggs have been stolen by the Koopa kids, and you're gonna go on a journey to save them. It's a 2D side-scrolling Mario game, just like Mario 3 and Mario 1. Not much like Mario 2. That one's a little bit different. It's the weird stepchild. Um, yeah, that's the game that I'm bringing forth. What game are you bringing forth, Dan?
Okay, so I brought in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So it's a little bit confusing, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. So Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles were being developed at the same time. They're actually separate games. They were planned for a single game release in but due to time constraints and cartridge size limitations, they were forced to split it. The Sonic and Knuckle cartridge featured an adapter, like a lock-on adapter, that allows players to connect to Sonic 3 cartridge, creating a combined game, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. You could actually put in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then which would allow players to control Knuckles in the Sonic 2 stages. Attaching the original Sonic the Hedgehog or any other Genesis game would unlock the Blue Spheres minigame that's in Sonic 3. So
Sweet
basically,
spear
you get
levels.
yeah. So basically, you get a longer game, and I feel like they added the save system specifically for this reason. But that's about the cartridge and whatnot. But I believe the game kind of takes place like soon after two. You beat Dr. Robotnik for the second time, stopping him again. Dr. Robotnik narrowly escapes. He tries to enlist the aid of a newcomer to the series, Knuckles the Echidna. Uh, Dr. Robotnik is caught trying to steal the Master Emerald for his own evil plans and is stopped by the Guardian of the Gem, which is Knuckles. But before he can retaliate, Dr. Robotnik tricks Knuckles by convincing him that Sonic and Tails are actually the bad guys and they're trying to take the Master Emerald for themselves. So basically, you're going through the game, and Knuckles tries to stop you at every possible turn he can. Usually, at the end of the stage, he'll lay a trap that our duo falls victim to time and time again. It isn't near until the end of the game where Knuckles finds out that he was being duped by Dr. Robotnik all along and is backstabbed. He tries to make amends to Sonic by helping him try to catch Dr. Robotnik. And that's what I've got.
So now we have our contenders. We're going to take these games through their paces. We have 4 different categories for you today. So in each category, I'm going to give Steve and Dan an opportunity to argue their points, and then I'm going to award a point based on their arguments or my own bias. I'm not sure yet. So our 4 categories today are presentation, which is going to be your sights and sounds essentially. How does the game hold up graphically and audibly? The second one is gameplay, so controls, mechanics, all that kind of thing. The thing that all 3 of us love and why we need to have more categories, because if we graded every game based on gameplay, we know pretty much where they would all land unanimously. And then pacing. Pacing is going to be your story elements, your level design, however you feel like your experience is time wise. If a game goes on too long, you might, docket points for that. And then X Factor, which is what makes the game unique and an experience to go back and play today. A retro gaming podcast. We need to make these points. And finally, if we're all tied up at the end of those 4 categories, there is a judge's point. So I've played both games. Obviously, they're classics. And I will kind of tell you guys my thoughts and award a point if I need to. All right, so let's get started. So first up, Steve, tell me why the presentation in Super Mario World is so good.
Well, if you like retro games like we do, then you know that this is going to be a timeless classic forever. Um, it's extremely lighthearted in its presentation, from all of its sprite work to the soundtrack and all the themes in the game. It's like one of those games that really makes you feel like childhood. It's like Christmas morning, man. It's one of those, you know, how can you describe it in words? I'm going to do my best. It has 5 different types of levels. You have your overworld levels, your caves, your water levels, your castle levels, and your ghost houses. Um, in all of those different kinds of levels, you have different kind of music that all kind of transports you into the type of level you're in. You know, the overworld music's light and airy, and the ghost house is a little spooky. I mean it's kids fare, but it still transports you nonetheless. I mean, it doesn't have to be Resident Evil scary to just know the kind of setting that Mario's in. Um, it's one of those like super cute and fun games. It's a Mario game. I mean, through and through, it's like the epitome of where Mario started to like develop deeper. Um, there's something for everybody to enjoy with this game. It's cute, charming. It's just like it's so I don't man, I could gush about it all day. Like it, the presentation is just magical. Like if I could use a word, it's magical. It's just it transports me to being a kid in the two senses of sight and sound. It's
So I've noticed that you said that like there's 5 different types of stages,
mhm.
but like, don't you think they're kind of repetitive? Like they're not all that different, right?
It's
I
leaping
don't.
into the counterpoints.
Okay. All right now. So overworld levels, they're a lot more open. There's a lot of like exploration to do with pipes you can go into, and different like they have clouds that'll boost you up into special parts of the stages, and you're meant to explore, and you have your companion Yoshi in most of those stages. You can get a Yoshi, and you know that's kind of like the overworld levels. They're more like exploration. The cave levels, they're all tight and confined levels. It transports you into that feeling. Like a lot of them have these yellow floors that come up, and if you're not careful, you'll get squished, or you feel confined. It That's the best way I can explain that. The ghost houses, they're all puzzle based. You need to figure out your way out of this haunted house before the booze gets you. You feel the weight of your actions in your brain trying to figure out how to get out of here because it's dangerous. And the
All right,
water levels.
we're like kind of edging into gameplay here, so I'm gonna steer us back as judge and referee here.
Well, he's asking what made it different, and
He
I'm
is.
just explaining.
He is. He is. I'm not faulting you for it.
We'll
You
leave
know,
it at this.
I
All the different kinds of levels, they're not repetitive. They are different.
truth be told, I did not even know that there were 5 types of levels exactly. So if that kind of speaks to the uniqueness of each level, like yeah, there are like overworld levels, but like I don't know, they all kind of have a different look and feel. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, no,
Um,
they're the same. Boo.
Definitely not.
all right, Dan, we're gonna give you the floor. Tell us why Sonic 3 should take this
Okay.
point.
All right. So at the start of the start screen, we have a few different modes to choose from. You can pick single player mode, which you can play as Sonic, Tails, or the newcomer Knuckles if you're playing Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which this is what it's about. You can even pick a combination of the two characters together, such as like Sonic and Tails or Knuckles and Tails. I feel like it really adds a ton of replayability to this solid game alone.
I think that's on
Um,
yours only. It wasn't on the Genesis. Knuckles and Tails.
Yeah, what is
um,
happening? What is this? You
so for
play
the
the
record, I believe I
Origins?
mentioned this, but I played it on Sonic Origins. So I mean, if there's slight differences, I mean there might be.
It's a big
Um,
difference. Tails would never team up with that scrub.
You're supposed to be against him.
Team Knuckles over here. So there's also 2 player modes, which become split screen, and you can race your friends in each level. There are 3 modes to choose from. They are Grand Prix, Match Race, and Time Attack, all with unique stages that aren't even seen in the single player game.
Listen, I had a little brother, and we never did that. It was way more fun to just play the game as Sonic and Tails than to do the racing.
Okay, on
But
Sonic
Dan,
2,
tell me about the presentation. I want to know how it looks, how it sounds. Tell
I'm
me about the
I'm I'm
presentation.
I'm getting to it. So I'll talk, more on Sonic's side of things since he's like the main protagonist and it seems fitting. I could talk about Knuckles' side of things as well, but I'll be here for a while if I did that. So right off the bat, you're greeted with Sonic and Tails and a mini cutscene. You're flying towards Angel Island. Sonic has all the emeralds in his possession from the previous game, and he's a supersonic mode, and Tails is in the airplane called Tornado. Basically, the um, the tone of the game, and that is that the game is fast paced. Not long after you reach Angel Island, you're stopped by Knuckles, and he takes away all your Chaos Emeralds and flees off.
Boom. Right there. My first precursor against the game is start and stop all the time. Knuckles pre-shadows it with a punch to the face, and you lose your emeralds. Oh, the first stop right in the cutscene. That's terrible.
No, I mean, you do eventually get it back, which, it
Oh
takes a
yeah,
little
put
time.
the greatest
But it's a
feature of
part
the
of the game. It's
game,
part of the fun.
gatekeep the greatest feature in the game, Supersonic, behind a bunch of levels that you gotta look like. Come on now, the best part of the
But,
game.
Easy, 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 fellas,
but,
Uh,
easy.
but still, like,
Are we
why
still
does
talking about presentation?
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick. But why does Metroid lose her suit every time? It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like we're edging into pacing now.
But
well, that's because Metroid's an adventure game and you're supposed to explore.
all right, so I'm not done yet. This is where you take control of Sonic, and if you haven't noticed by now, graphics are slightly enhanced from its previous games. Some of the mini games take you into a 3D environment to fully maximize what the Genesis was actually capable of. The controls are the same as the previous title. You build up momentum as you run, and gives you that rush as you go through levels at top speed, especially the parts where you're going through the pipes and loops. That's what Sonic is known for.
They're
But
just
at the
they're
end of the
just
day,
cutscenes.
yeah, but they're cool to watch. But at the end of the day, Sonic is indeed a 2D platformer with traps and enemies along the way. So you have to pick and choose when to go full speed ahead or carefully select your movements wisely. It's very rewarding gameplay if executed correctly. The amount of sprite work in this game is like astounding. I want to say there's at least 75 to 100 different sprites for every controllable character in this game. An example is Carnival Night Zone. There are parts of the stage where you're on this like rotating cylinder thing. Your character rotates on the cylinder when you actually jump on it, and there's probably like 6 different sprites as like your character spinning onto it. But that's not all. They actually have different animations if you're looking up or if you're actually ducking too, which it's simply amazing that the amount of detail that this game went through. The music is pretty top tier. Zones like Ice Cap Zone, Flying Battery Zone, and my personal favorite, Death Egg Zone, to name a few. And another
Yeah, but you
crazy thing
still
about the
like.
music.
What about Carnival Night Zone? It's
I
not.
mean,
That's not good. There are
I
no
mean,
bad
like,
songs in Super Mario World, but there are some
let's be
bad
honest. You
songs.
can't bat 1,000 for every possible game in the music in the game.
Well, I know that.
But
I'm just saying that my
but
game doesn't
there's
have bad music.
there's a few bangers.
Oh, name a bad song in Super Mario World.
I mean, like almost all of them.
Hang on, we're gonna
They're
have to
like
pause.
they're like so mad. I'm not really a fan of the Ghost House music. It's kind of like whatever. I mean, it does fit, but you know,
Yeah, there's not much to it. It's what
uh,
like 3 different like instruments playing at most.
Yeah, but it's on theme. It's not a bad song. It's more of an
no.
Yeah,
ambience
I mean,
thing. Like, so my point is that I don't like Carnival Levels music. I think that it's terrible. I don't like Like, I'd rather turn the music off when playing that stage. I couldn't say that for the same on Super Mario World soundtrack.
I would agree to disagree, I guess.
I was just
I think
asking you to name a bad song.
for I did. I mean, I did mention the Ghost House theme. Um, I don't know. The Star theme isn't all that great. It's very repetitive, like on the world map.
Star Road?
It's like yeah, it's like a 3 second loop. If I feel like
Yeah, but I mean,
You asked for a bad song.
okay, well, I guess you could call it a bad song, but I mean, how long are you on Star Road? You just like leave it on.
I'm just
yeah, but
jamming
it's
out
like
on Star Road,
it's
right?
such a secret like world and whatnot, and it's like all they can offer you is a 3 second loop. Like really?
All
But
right.
anyways, I before we like leave off of music, there's one more note that I want to add. Um, some of the music was actually composed by Michael Jackson, but unfortunately, he was denied credit due to some allegations at the time. So Michael Jackson actually had a hand in Sonic 3's music.
Yeah, that
That's
actually
cool.
apparently was confirmed in just in like 2022, like that actually came out. Like I mean, it had been rumored for a really long time. Well,
Yeah, I'd
I'm
heard
gonna
about
say
it a while
rumored.
ago.
I'm gonna say rumored, but I have a feeling a lot of people already knew the story, right? But was actually confirmed by one of Sonic's co-creators, I guess, in 2022.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
well,
remember reading that there was like two composers for Sonic 3, and Michael Jackson was close by with all the music that they did.
I mean, Super Mario World's music is Koji Kondo, so he did Zelda and he did Metroid, I believe, and he
But come
does
on,
all
Michael
kinds of stuff.
Jackson. He was such a huge hit. Yeah, wow.
Everybody knows Super Mario, right?
I think everybody knows Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
even if you
100%.
don't live in the U.S. Um, so which I think is how he got to work on Sonic 3
I
to
know,
begin
like
with.
if you were to
But
ask some random stranger about who would you say Koji versus Michael Jackson, they're gonna know Michael Jackson.
yeah, I'd probably argue that Michael Jackson is probably more famous, but
Well, by name,
Maybe Western
sure.
bias, who knows? Um,
But ask the
anyway,
children. What do you think the children would say?
at risk of speaking ill of the dead and about a very litigious happy family, I'm gonna talk about our the point that I'm going to award here. So I do. So I'm just gonna say I don't think either game's presentation is bad. Like neither game has something that is like obnoxious in it that really is off-putting. They both kind of have their charms. Um, and it could just be a product of being a few years later and having mastered the 16-bit craft. But honestly, I think the presentation point has got to go to Sonic 3 and Knuckles on this. The sprites just have too many animations. The music is just way too sweet consistently. Yeah, Carnival Night Zone is a little bit of a low point, but I don't mind it personally. I
Not
don't
at
think it's
all.
like terribly obnoxious. I'm not going to go put it on my gaming playlist.
I
But
don't
I
like
could say the
Marble Garden
same.
Zone either.
But like I could say the same about any of Mario's tracks, right? Like almost none of Mario's tracks are going to land on a solid gaming playlist. It's just maybe it's just been overdone.
I
Um,
mean, that's you. That's your point to award, but I
it's
disagree.
fair.
It's Super Mario World songs like the it's so
Is it a
good.
night? Is it any on your playlist, Steve? That's what I thought.
I don't have a gaming playlist actually.
All right. So point to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's one zip. We're gonna move on to our next category, which is gameplay. So here we're gonna talk about controls, power ups, just general how you get from point A to point B from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. And Steve started us off last time, so Dan, we're gonna keep you going. Take a sip of water and tell me about the gameplay in Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay, so for gameplay, as I mentioned earlier, you can pick from three different characters and they have all unique different abilities. Sonic has a new jump ability where he does like this quick spin dash in the air and it gives him some iframes and a bigger hitbox to destroy his enemies. Tails can fly, and on top of like I think where his tails is spinning, it's actually a hurt box to damage your enemies. Knuckles does indeed jump lower than Sonic and Tails, but in return he gets a glide and he can also climb walls. So I like to think of Knuckles as sort of like a hard mode in this game. Like the jump hunt really makes a difference in this game, especially boss fights. Most bosses in this game have some sort of mechanic, a puzzle, if you will, to figure out in order to damage them as Knuckles. Simply because he just can't jump high enough where Sonic and Tails can just completely ignore the mechanic that was being presented. Bosses are definitely more fun as Knuckles if you're willing to figure out how each boss works. Like barriers is another one. So in Sonic 2, you got like, your run of the mill barrier. It like acts as like a hit buffer. So they expanded upon this and added three different unique barriers. Um, so
Like
there's a
barriers, you mean like you just like get an extra hit?
like a shield. So
Okay.
I'll get into it. So they have a bubble barrier, which all these barriers I'm talking about, they give you an extra hit as well. So like you don't lose your rings. But what's unique to the bubble barrier is it helps you breathe underwater while moving, and you have like this bouncing mechanic if you hit the jump button again while you're in the air, so you can like kind of like bounce, like kind of like like a bouncy ball, if you will. The flame barrier makes you immune to all fire damage in the game, including the stage hazard lava, and you'll also get like this mid-air dash attack.
Only
And
as
last,
Sonic.
it's only a Sonic.
Yep.
And lastly, the magnetic barrier, my personal favorite. You are immune to electric type moves. Rings automatically get connected if you are near them, but honestly, like, why do you want the magnetic barrier? It's the double jump. Double jump is just too good.
I want the
Uh,
magnetic barrier for something else, but
I don't know, dude. The double jump is so good. It's
I,
top
I,
tier.
I play
Like
the game
any game that you
differently.
get it in, so good.
Yeah. Well,
And
you missed the big downside of the barriers. If you touch
there's the rest.
water with yeah, there is. If you touch water with either the magnetic barrier or the fire barrier, it's gone. Water's now a
Uh,
stage hazard for your barrier.
that's
Yeah,
minor
Mario
detail.
can shoot fireballs underwater.
That's right. Oil.
That's minor detail.
No, not
We
a
don't need to
minor
go.
detail. The the best the best reason to play Sonic is the barriers because they're cool, but you lose them.
Not if
And
you play right. I
The
mean,
and
best
they're
reason to play
you
yeah,
don't
Sonic.
always have to take the water path. I mean, there's multiple ways to go through stages in Sonic 3.
say that to level 2.
All right, well, anyways, when going through the regular game, you can find various mini games throughout the stages, sometimes hidden away. It's a nice way to break up the gameplay for a bit of fun and addicting mini games, also known as bonus stages. So, to access the mini games, you need at least 20 rings when running through a checkpoint. Some of the mini games you encounter are slot machines, where it's like similar to Sonic 1, where you're in ball form, and the whole stage rotates as you try to jump and maneuver into the slot machine. You can earn extra lives or power-ups. The stage ends if you land in the red zone, and I think
Was
it
it
says
fun?
goal. Dude, it's pretty addicting.
No, it's
But
not. Dude, I uh
Hold on. Foul, foul.
uh-oh,
All right, all right.
foul for what?
No, it's not. It's definitely not a valid argument.
I was about to explain why it was not.
All right,
Listen,
go for it. Go
listen.
for
do
it.
your best, do your worst.
For one thing, there's going to be there's going to be a point that I'm going to make it multiple times is that this game is so start and stop that it becomes infuriating after playing for a fair amount of time. Every time you jump into one of these mini games, you get stopped from doing the thing that is most fun about Sonic, and that's going fast and running and spinning and hitting enemies and moving quickly. I'm not
That's
moving
objective.
quickly. Eh,
That's
Is it?
objective.
Is it? Are you're not playing
I
Sonic
feel
to go
like it.
fast?
No, not necessarily. Like, yeah, maybe
Agree.
that's a slogan, but like that doesn't mean I have to play it that way. What if Mario had like a slogan like that? Like, can't get hit, you know? What if
Yes,
it
it's
so
fun
if
to
he's
not
not
get
hitting, you're
hit.
not gonna have fun? I mean,
It's
I don't
fun to
know.
not get hit. I don't like getting hit.
I suppose, but you don't have to play the way quote unquote it's supposed to play just because that's a slogan.
Look, I'm not saying that you have to play it that way. What I am saying is that it pulls you out of the level constantly.
All right,
Yeah, it's like
let's pause on this. So, Steve, point well taken. All right, Dan, what else you got?
okay. So I was gonna go over a couple more of the mini games. There's a bubblegum type mini game where there are springs on each side of the wall, and you try and bounce your way all the way up to the top
Yeah, that was
and hit the
fun.
top, and then it drops various like shield power ups. The springs disappear once you use the spring, but the stage ends if you end up falling all the way down to the bottom.
Let me
Then
ask you
the
a
last,
question on
what's that?
the spring minigame. How often did you get the barrier you wanted?
Well, it's like a gumball machine. Like you don't know what you're gonna get. I mean, that's the fun of it. I mean, sometimes you'll get like, the bubble barrier, sometimes you'll get the flame barrier.
Yeah, and you immediately show up in your level 2 with your fire barrier. How sweet.
I mean,
Level two is the water level for those of you who are listening to this retro gaming podcast and have never played Sonic 3.
all right. And then the last mini zone is a secret zone that's like hidden away. Oh wait, no, hold on. I'm gonna back up. The last mini game is kind of sort of a weird one. It's kind of like hard.
Kind of
Is
sort of the worst one.
it's like you have to slingshot your way to the top of the stage, and and the stage hazard kind of like rises as you're trying to slingshot up, and you can get various power ups along the way, and as you make your way to the top. But obviously, the stage ends if you get caught by the rising stage hazard.
Did you make it to
Um,
the top?
I have not. That's an actual hard mini game.
Guess
Maybe
what's
it's
up
just
there?
that I've done it so many times, but I actually don't find that one hard.
Guess
I
what's
can
up there?
do it with my eyes closed.
Guess
What's
what's
up
up there? Nothing.
One up.
All right, and then the last mini game is it's a secret zone that's hidden away in stages and turns the whole game into a 3D mini game called Blue Spheres. The objective is to collect all the blue spheres on the stage without touching a red sphere. If done correctly, you are rewarded a Chaos Emerald. Which brings me to my next point: is collecting 7 Chaos Emeralds changes how Sonic plays after collecting 50 rings. Once 50 rings are collected, you turn into Super Sonic, which is basically a Super Saiyan form for Sonic. He's faster, much faster, invulnerable to enemy attacks. The music changes to let you know that you're ready to kick ass. Um,
Can still be
then,
crushed.
yeah,
Constantly getting crushed.
but it's like Goku. If he was teleported into outer space, he would die, right? Which Sonic doesn't.
True, Sonic does not die to being in outer space when he's in Super Sonic.
Then,
Sure.
then there's another set of emeralds called Super Emeralds. If you collect them in the second half of the game, which increase your powers even further, if you collected them, and then form is an upgraded form called Hypersonic. This form is faster, if you could believe it, and you can breathe underwater and has like a homing attack, to name a few. There is even a new secret boss at the end of the game. If you're able to collect every single emerald the game has to offer, once you beat the game, you can actually revisit stages and pick up which stage you would like to tackle to get all the emeralds. The game has quite a few endings, I believe. I think there's like 3 different endings for each character, depending on the progress of your emeralds. Um, so like, there's just no shortage of like replayability. It's just crazy to me.
Sure. Did you get
I
all
think,
the emeralds?
no, I couldn't. Like I
Game
said, it was
keep. Gate kept. All right. The coolest feature of the game, Supersonic, is gate kept by levels that are pretty difficult for people who have never done it before. You're gonna hide your coolest feature behind something like that.
but but that's the fun of it. It makes you want to like get better at the game because of it's such a rewarding reward at the end. It's
I'm
like,
all
oh man,
for rewards, but
and that's
gatekeeping,
why
the most fun part behind that's actually not the best design in my opinion.
All
well, I
right,
mean,
Steve. All right,
I just want to
tell
say one more
us.
thing.
All
I
right,
just
all
want
right,
to say
all
one
right. One
more
more,
thing.
one more.
That's why there's when you beat the game, you can
I'm
actually
gonna use my
stage
Sonic
select.
and Knuckles as my gavel here.
You can stage select and actually, try and
Order.
you can actually try and get hyper and supersonic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
you
there's that.
can, if you're good enough.
Mhm.
I'm good enough.
Practice makes perfect.
That's true.
All right, Steve. All right, go ahead.
I do like the blue sphere
All right,
levels.
Steve. Tell us about the Super Mario World gameplay for the 1.5% of gamers out there that don't know it.
All right, well, so the gameplay in Super Mario World is a lot more complex than it is at first glance. You're probably thinking to yourself picking up this game, this is a Mario side scroller. And you're right. You jump and there's lots of things to jump on. That's Mario. But there's a lot more deepness in it than at first glance. Like I said earlier, there's for the 5 different kinds of levels, and they all play differently. Even though you're side scrolling, you have different objectives. I touched up on the ghost houses a little bit and how they're They're more puzzle oriented and more like, you try and solve a puzzle to get out the right exit. Um,
But I don't know. We gloss over it a little bit. They're not different enough though. Like especially as a kid, I didn't really think like there was like even Don mentioned it. Like he didn't realize there was 5 different stages. They're just too similar.
too similar?
Yeah, like I didn't
Well,
realize there was
I'm
5 different.
enlightening you
Hold on,
now.
hold on. I just want to state for the record that I mentioned that in context of I didn't know there were specifically 5 different biomes because all the stages felt kind of different. Not to kind of take away from you, Dan, but I don't want my words to be misinterpreted for the sake of the
Yeah.
argument. That like that was news to me. Like, oh really? Only five?
Don was a lot more observant than you this week, Dan.
Apparently. All right,
Uh,
go on. What else? What else you got?
the overworld levels, like I said earlier, they're about more like exploring and being out in the open and all that. The castle stages, they are similar to ghost houses in some ways. It's not so puzzly, but the thing about the ghost house, or I mean, I'm sorry, the castles, is that they're a lot more hazard based. Like, the first castle has the gates that you can climb on, and the Koopas walking around or climbing around, and then they have the stompers, and then, there's castles with buzz saws. There's castles with magic Koopas and
Yeah,
yellow
the
blocks. That
problem with like
it's
the
hazard
castles,
based.
the problem with the castles though, like you've seen one, you've seen them all. You know what I'm saying? They use all the same stuff.
No, they don't.
Pretty much, like you see the buzz saws, you see like the gates,
There
and
aren't.
they don't really try anything like new.
What do you? I mean, so
Like
you're saying
all
that
I'm,
they're in stages, but they're a lot more tight packed in a castle. It's a lot more precise platforming in the castles.
yeah, I understand that, but it's like say you go from like 1 to 2 into 3 into 4, that they're all very similar in my opinion. So it doesn't really like it. The gameplay is just pretty much like the same when you're doing all the different castles.
I mean, I didn't get that. If you were to play the castles all in a row, you would see the differences. But the thing about the castles in this game is they split them up in between worlds, so you're not forced to do castles all in a row. They that falls more into the pacing side, but they are definitely not the same. And all of the bosses at the end are different. All the different Koopa kids, they expect you to do different things.
Yeah,
Wendy goes into
I found all the
pubs.
castles to kind of have their own gimmicks.
Yeah,
Kind of.
I mean, you can feel that way, being as unobservant as you are. You didn't even know that the levels were different. I mean, have you played this game before?
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, so in Super Mario World, they added a new type of attack. I guess it's a jump, really. It's the spin jump. And this thing is crazy. You can spin jump on like 90% of the game, like things that you wouldn't even think you could. It is a super cool addition to the game because it allows you to play it differently for different obstacles from older games, and it gives Mario a little bit more versatility than before, which is really nice and
Yeah,
welcomed.
he needs every help he can get.
Oh yeah,
All
Mario.
all his games is like pretty much just jump.
You sound so ignorant right now.
All right, well, I'm gonna bang the gavel again before we get down to name calling. All right,
All right.
Steve, any more thoughts there on gameplay?
Oh yeah, I got a whole bunch. So the water levels in this game feel a lot different when you grab an item because it acts kind of like a life preserver and allows you to move faster up, down, left, and right. So it gives you a speed in the underwater stages that you only ever been somewhat rivaled to when you had like the frog suit in Mario 3. Other than that, it makes the underwater levels a lot more fun than they used to be because you can zoom around a lot faster and everybody likes zooming around. Unfortunately, it's broken up in Sonic so much.
Oh, I love zooming around.
Uh, yeah. So in this one, they added a new power up. It's the magic cape, and the magic cape's pretty cool
Hold on.
because
Is the
Super
magic
Mario
cape is the magic
power
cape
up
really
ever.
all that new? Isn't it just the raccoon? Isn't it just a different skin for the raccoon?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
It's
You get a
very
spin
similar.
attack, and you can fly in the air when you get up to top speed. So, not only did they implement something from an earlier game that most people would be familiar with doing, they implemented a new ability with the cape. Uh, so it's a mixing of old school versus new school in this. If it was modern, the cape allows you to not only stay in the air, but also you get an extra attack. So if you tap back, you'll float up, and you can stay in the air as long as you're good at doing that mechanic. But if you hold forward, you do a dive bomb and do a screen clear, and I don't even need to collect 7 or 14 Chaos Emeralds to do it.
Yeah, but like I feel like the main selling point of the cape is trying to stay in the air, and it that can be as finicky as all hell to
Not
trying
in
to
a
like go.
castle, and not in a ghost house or in a cave.
Well, just even trying to do it in general. Like a lot of the time, it's like you're trying to stay afloat, and I don't know. I feel like it's very janky
It's
when
just a
trying to like.
timing thing.
Yeah, but again, it's like somebody who's trying to play the game for the first time. Like they probably won't be able to do that mechanic correctly, if ever.
Sure, but if you compare it to the Tanuki tail, like you had said earlier, you do get initial burst of jump, very high height and distance, and also if you hold your jump button, you get a slow glide down. So you get plenty of distance without needing to fly around everywhere. You may want to fly around everywhere. You may want to skip the levels, but there's
That's
plenty
what
to offer in the levels.
isn't that the whole point of wearing a cape, like Superman? You want to fly, not like glide or like use
Batman
your.
can't fly; he can just glide or get in a jet, I guess. But his cape's not making him fly.
Or so I guess Mario's Batman.
No, you said having a cape lets you fly, and I was saying that it doesn't. So in this game, on also on gameplay, they added a new power up. I guess you'd call it. It's Yoshi's first appearance, and Yoshi is really significant in a lot of ways. For one, he completely changes the way that you play the game. Because he adds extra height to your jumps, gives you the ability to jump off of him for even more additional height. He can eat enemies. He can walk on things that Mario can't normally walk on. And if he eats a Koopa shell, depending on the color, you get a different ability. So, it adds an extra hit. And when you get hit on Yoshi, you don't lose your power up. You just fall off of Yoshi, and you have to try and catch him, try and wrangle him back. So if you're good enough,
I
you can
just
keep it.
I just want to say that like the majority of the different colors of the Yoshis, when you eat a shell are like I don't know, it's like their power ups are like very insignificant, I feel. Like you get like say you said like the blue Yoshi when you eat like a specific thing or whatever, like you gain the ability to fly. The other Yoshis I feel like are very lacking compared to that one.
The yellow Yoshi does an earthquake attack when he
Yeah,
lands, so it's like
and then the red one
Useless.
and the red one does like a fireball, like big whoop. That's I'd rather fly
that's.
all day.
But if you had a different colored Yoshi, that's an ability all the time, like every shell that you take. So you
Like
can
let's be
shoot a
honest,
lot of fireballs, or you can earthquake a bunch, or fly a
let's be
bunch.
honest. If you're going to Star World to get like a specific Yoshi, which one is it gonna be?
I like
It's
the
the
blue Yoshi.
it's the
Always
blue.
blue.
Well, sure. I'm not here to rank them. You're never going to take regular barrier over magnetic barrier, so get off your horse. At least I get to choose when I get mine.
All right. Okay. So just some thoughts on gameplay here. So I'm kind of with Dan in the camp of Sonic is not made like old Sonic is not made to be played fast. I feel like that's a modern stigma, and my thoughts on it are that Sonic fans really don't know what they want because they complain when the Sonic games are too fast. They complain when the Sonic games are too slow. I think the Sonic games of old, Sonic 1, 2, and 3, are perfect like picking platforming and also have the fast sections to give you that Sonic vibe. I also think that um, Mario. I have to say the first time I played through Super Mario World, which actually was not all that long ago, maybe like 5 years ago, I played it like a normal Mario game, just doing like regular jumps the whole time. I really didn't get the spin jump mechanic. This week I actually played a lot of spin jump, and boy, I gotta say it feels so good. And you feel like an animal, like every time you treat a boo like a platform, to get somewhere early that like you couldn't get, you just like trivialize almost the whole game with it, and it feels good. Um,
Highly skill
I like
based.
I like the mini games in Sonic. I know that you could make the argument that it's start stop, but honestly, if you hit a checkpoint and that little ring appears for you to jump into the mini game, you don't need to go in it. And most of the time, I don't unless I need a shield or some rings to turn into supersonic or something. So just skip it. It
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
stop you unless you want it to stop you, which I think is cool. Gives you some license.
Yeah,
But
just
Sonic,
variety.
Super Mario World does have the world map, and that to me always added a lot to platformers, like finding secret exits and finding stuff, right? So I guess I'm going off on a tangent here, but I am because it's so very, very close for me. And it really kind of, like these two games, I don't want to detract from either one. Like if you are looking for retro games to play, like obviously if you haven't played one of these, you really should play both of these games. But I am going to give it very, very slightly, and I kind of want to change the rules so I could award both games a point. But very slightly, I'm going to give it to Super Mario World in this argument here, just because like in Sonic you can speed run it, and that's really cool. Like I've seen some Sonic speed runs, but you have to get so good at the game, and you have to like practice it so much to be able to feel like you're really really awesome at this game. But I just mentioned how the spin jump in Super Mario World accomplishes that like almost instantly. Like you just feel like you're cheating, and it's really awesome. So, yep, Super Mario World 4 gameplay. So the score is 1-1, which is going to bring us to our third category, which is pacing. Now, pacing is a category that's not self-explanatory. Here we're talking about story elements. We're talking about the length of the experience, whether it's too long, too short, whatever. And level design is another thing that would fit into pacing. If some levels were too long and complicated, or if they were the perfect length and felt navigable. All right, Dan kicked us off last time, so Steve, go ahead, tell us about Super Mario World's pacing.
All right. With the pacing of Super Mario World, um, it's it's one of those games that is just like easy to pick up and play whenever you want, and you don't have to be at any certain point because the game doesn't like upgrade you like an RPG or anything like that. So it's one of those things you can pick up, put down. You get to save after ghost houses and castles, and there's a fair amount of places to do that, and you can replay any of the levels you want.
I have one problem with the saves feature in that game. Why is it every time that like when you save the game and then you like quit and replay, why do you lose all your rings and all the extra lives that you acquired?
I don't know. I didn't even. There
I
isn't a
mean,
huge weight to losing your lives in that game.
are you saying it's too easy?
No, I'm saying that like if you don't have
Super
your
Mario
lives,
World is
like
for babies.
no, what I'm saying is that like you're gonna be at your checkpoint anyway. Like it's
Because
easy to get lives if you know what you're doing. I don't
I
know. I don't.
I just always thought that was annoying, especially like, if you're a newcomer to the series and it's like you're trying to pick up where you left off and then you're like, wait a minute, where's all the rings that I had or coins, I'm sorry. Where's all the extra lives that I had? I had like 20 lives. Where'd they all go?
I don't know. I didn't even notice it because it wasn't a big deal to me. I don't I
Just
don't
don't
game
die,
over.
Dan.
I don't game over in Super Mario World anymore. I've played it so much, it's hard to even notice those things. I guess that's a valid point. I just didn't even know.
Hmm.
Um, there are some consequences to game over in this because if you do get one, you have to go back to your save point. So you can feel at least a little bit of the weight if you're still getting used to the game. Whereas I think in Sonic 3, if you get a game over, you still have your save file where you could, if you were on like Act 2, it'd send you back to Act 1, so you have to replay one level, but the consequence is a lot less. So the stakes feel a lot less in that way. In this game, there's 9 different worlds that all have like a good sprinkling of different kinds of levels in almost all of them. Like World 1 doesn't have a cave level, and World 2 doesn't, but World 3 has a couple cave levels, and so on and so forth. Later on, they sprinkle them even better than that. There's 73 different levels in this game, and I think there's like almost like 20 or 30 levels that have secret exits. Um, the levels take, about 2 to 5 minutes. They definitely don't overstay their welcome. Some of the stages would be cooler to be a little bit longer. I think the forest stages ended up feeling a little bit longer than the other kinds of levels. Um, but they're nice bite-sized levels. You don't have to spend a whole long time hearing the same music for a long period of time. That's nice. Um, but what I want to talk about in Super Mario World is the consistency of the level design.
I
So,
wanna I wanna say something about like the world map for a little bit. Specifically Star World. Why is it that like some of the stars, when you like choose to warp to the star, like they literally lead you to nothing? You know what I'm saying? It's like you warp there, but you can't even move. Like, what's the point of that?
it's for fast travel later if you want to travel to a different part of the world. If
So what,
you
you actually have to unlock it by physically getting to that point?
So there's 3 uses of the Star Road. The first one is to make it to Bowser quickly so you can speed run the game if that's what you want to do. The second is to warp between the other Star Roads that you have found. It still requires you to do the exploration in the game.
Oh, okay.
There's no
Yeah, see,
point. Yeah,
I didn't know that because I know like when you unlock them for the first time, it's like a lot of the time it's like you can't move. So I didn't know that you actually had to visit it first on the world map.
yeah. So it's just fast travel between worlds. If you want to replay a different world, it's faster to get to. Um, And the third reason to play the Star World is, well, the Yoshis. And then the fourth reason would be the extra hard levels at the end for people that want to really challenge themselves. So back to what I was saying is the consistency of level design in Super Mario World is amongst the best in all of video game design. You feel when your skills get better. And that speaks volumes on pacing. Like when you get to a harder level and you feel like you've actually leveled up and that you're actually getting a tangible feeling on controlling Mario better and different types of platforms and different timings and all these things, like it feels good running
Yeah,
through the
you
final
could say
world.
that for any game though. You know, you put in the time and effort into any game, it feels good.
Yes,
Wait,
but
are you saying there's no such thing as an inappropriate difficulty spike?
Who, me or
Yeah.
who- no? I mean, I feel like Mario really like stays the same. Like once you get a handle of the controls, it's like it's actually hard to die in that game if you know what you're doing. Um,
Okay. Got it.
yeah,
but like
but I feel like Sonic levels, in my opinion, they feel samey in the way that their difficulty is all like the same all the time. Like I don't feel like one level is a lot harder than the other until you get to like literally the end of the game. And even then, like in Sonic 1 for example, like Scrap Brain Zone is really annoying compared to, you know, the other stages, or Labyrinth Zone's probably harder than any of the other ones. But like in my opinion, Sonic feels very samey in difficulty. Mario, I don't get that. They make it so that like you have to jump on Koopas to make it across gaps, or you have to, you have to battle certain types of enemy combinations that are a lot more difficult. In Sonic, it
I
doesn't
don't
really
know,
do that.
you don't really have to jump on Koopas to get. I mean, I never felt like I was like obligated to jump on a Koopa to get to a certain part on a stage. That might be like
Oh, it
might
does.
be
It does eventually get there.
Yeah,
you
There are
might
definitely
say
in
certain
it.
that's like
stages where you
the
have to.
Star
Yeah.
Road, but like I beat Mario as a kid, so and I don't remember like actually having to like jump on Koopas and stuff, and I did play it, this week as well, and I don't really remember having to do ridiculous jumps.
There's moving platforms with saw blades. There's all kinds of stuff that gradually increases in difficulty the further you get.
That
That's
you can spin jump on.
you can spin jump on them if your aim is exceptionally good. Um, but that ramp up in difficulty, it feels rewarding. Like getting better at the game always feels good. Um, and each new world does feel a little bit more difficult. Like I remember as a kid on Butter Bridge, the auto scrolling level, I had a hard time as a kid.
I had a hard time this week with it. I was like,
Yeah,
what is my problem?
so getting better at the game, it just feels really good.
Good scrub.
I
Oh
am
yeah,
now. Um,
Butter Bridge, man.
this game has tons of extra paths you can take on the overworld, lots of secret exits. So, like, replaying the levels is always fun. Looking for the new exit is nice. Any level that has a red dot has multiple exits. Um, it's just, there's lots of replayability, and, you know, it's just one of those games that you can pick
I
up
mean,
and
I,
play.
I mean, I guess there's some replayability with it. I mean, it's not like that much. I don't feel like. I mean, like yeah, you said like red squares or circles. Um, you know, they take you to like a different route, and then you can like open up a different path. But a lot of the time, it's like they're not very well hidden, in my opinion. You can find them like very easily, and like sometimes it's like really early in the stage.
Sometimes there are
In
some
my
that are hidden in pipes that you have to explore. Sometimes they're up in the sky. Sometimes they're, you know, underwater. There's one where you have to literally in the Star Road to progress further, you have to find the secret exits. And some of them are harder to find than others. Like the water level, you have to go down in a place that you normally wouldn't go. So you have to explore for it. And yeah, it's right in the beginning of the stage, but or it might be right at the end. I can't remember, but I mean,
what
it
you
still
talking about
rewards you
the
for
star?
exploring.
You talking about the star level? Is that the one you're referring to?
Yeah, you have to go down the side and then to the
Yeah.
left.
Those levels are notoriously short, I think. So like you saying like it's the beginning or end, it's a very short level.
Yeah, like I did say that the Mario levels are shorter than the Sonic levels, but that means they never overstay their welcome. And because there's so many of them, you still feel like you're going to the next level, going to the next level, and you can stop almost whenever you want because there's so many ghost houses and castles. So I think
Yeah,
that the
but I feel
pacing's really
like
good.
I like the longer levels that Sonic has because of like it gives it like stage identity. Like with each stage has like more traps, like more obstacles, stuff like that. So it's like, and generally, in my opinion, I mean, I know this is, pacing, but better music too. So it's
Right.
like, all right,
So, Steve, did you have anything else for pacing? Seems like Dan's ready to take the floor.
No, I think I pretty much covered everything. I think that the game's pacing is exceptionally well. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the classic that it is today.
All right. All right, Dan, it's a tough act to follow. The game with the best pacing ever. Go ahead. Tell
all
us
right,
about Sonic 3 and Knuckles pacing.
all right. So the pacing in Sonic 3 and Knuckles is excellent. With its balanced gameplay of going fast, precision platforming gameplay, and the fun bonus stages to play along the way. Some stages in the game sort of play as like a story throughout the game. Even if you look at the world map of Angel Island, you can see where most stages take place. So, you start in a jungle area as you pursue Dr. Robotnik. Through Knuckles always seems to be one step ahead of you every time, usually falling into one of his traps, which makes sense because he is the guardian of the Master Emerald, which is housed on Angel Island. As you traverse through levels, you get a sense as you're getting closer to your goal when the stages start taking it to the skies to confront Dr. Robotnik. What really gives off this feeling is the launch base zone. you can't help but think that something big's about to happen. As the stage is well designed into thinking Dr. Robotnik is close with like all his Dr. Robotnik like drones attacking you and whatnot. Um, you eventually fight him, and in doing so, you take down his Death Egg. Now, I believe this is where Sonic 3 originally ends.
You're right.
Um, but with Sonic and Knuckles cartridge, the game is e- expanded another 7 different levels. All right. So in Lava Reef Zone, you can actually see in the background that the Death Egg has crashed into the volcano you're currently in, and giving you that sense that you're are once again closing in on the final showdown with Dr. Robotnik. Some amazing detail went into the background, showing you that you are a part of the world that you're in. It's simply astounding. At the end of the hidden palace zone where you find the emerald that is being guarded, you actually confront Knuckles one last time in a 1 versus 1 combat as his last resort to stop you from taking it for yourself. Because again, he thinks you're the bad guy. Um, in the end, Sonic succeeds in defending himself, but Knuckles is ultimately backstabbed by Dr. Robotnik and steals the emerald for himself. He then escapes to his crashed Death Egg Zone, is able to bring it back to life and return to the skies because a very cool thing about the Master Emerald is it has the power to like levitate, and this is where yeah, Angel Island can actually actually levitates in the air. So his broken down Death Egg Zone actually is able to fly again because he installs the Master Emerald into his Death Egg. Um, but basically, with Knuckles' last ounce of power, he tries to help Sonic to pursue Dr. Robotnik. As soon as Sonic confronts him last time in the stage in the game, it's called Death Egg Zone. So, like basically, like the other games where you do the final confrontation with Dr. Robotnik in his Death Egg Zone. And then if you have all the emeralds, all 14 emeralds, you get like a special bonus stage at the end. And that's all I have for pacing.
Actually has a story. Yeah. I mean, Super Mario World kind of has a story, but it's kind of the same old, same old.
Yeah,
Everything's
they have
fun.
like little like blurbs that they read out after you beat a castle, and just like, oh, you defeated this Koopa, and you're going on to this world, and it's just it's a lot more lighthearted. There's not like a lot of weight in the story. You're trying to save Princess Peach like normal. It's a traditional Mario game. That's why it's really good for people of all ages because I remember playing Sonic 3 as like a kid, like 6 years old, and not really like following the story too much. You
Yeah,
know,
like the story is actually not bad. Like I'm like the amount of detail that went into Sonic 3 is awesome. Like
yeah,
I
it
like
is good
you like
story.
see you like see the face of like Death Egg Zone in the background when you're in Lava Reef Zone. I thought that was cool. Like and
Yeah,
then the Master Emerald actually powers his ship back up. Like it's like I don't know. They really thought things through with this installment.
Yeah, and there's like
yeah,
this whole bit about like you going through Sonic 2 and getting all the Chaos Emeralds and Sonic being supersonic. I know Steve talked about it in a gatekeeping sense, but like in Sonic 3 he still has that. He still has all those emeralds, and Dr. Robotnik is only able to accuse Sonic of trying to steal the Master Emerald by pointing out that Sonic has all of the Chaos Emeralds. And Knuckles being the guardian of the Chaos Emerald, you know, Supersonic being
Master Emerald.
totally yeah, Supersonic being totally invincible, Knuckles actually knows how to like depower Sonic from being supersonic, right? Because like your
Well, I
first
believe
introduction, it's like
the
him.
Master Emerald rivals the power of the Chaos Emeralds too.
I think they're connected. I mean, I'm not like totally up to speed on my Sonic the Hedgehog like canon lore, but I believe they are connected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
they're connected.
one of my
Well,
things about the pacing for Sonic 3 is like it, the story is definitely a lot more fleshed out than Super Mario World, but it's in its gameplay design in general. Like when I play, and it's not going to be the same for everybody. When I play Sonic 2 or Sonic 3, what I like to do is get all of my Chaos Emeralds as quickly as possible. I just like to play as Supersonic. It is the most fun part of the game. The problem with that lies in trying to collect 50 rings without getting hit by something.
Yeah, but
And
it's so easy to get 50 rings in Sonic.
I
It's not
mean,
that hard.
in the early stages,
Like,
in the later stages, like let's use Lava Reef Zone for example. There's so much lava and so much stupid stuff with spikes and fire everywhere. Like collecting 50 rings can be easy at some points in the level, but it's not always easy. And if you get
yeah,
hit,
but
you're only going to be able to collect like 5 rings back.
that to me is like almost like a skill issue because like there's plenty of power-ups that give you the fire shield to actually bypass all that fire stuff.
But it doesn't
So you're
bypass those rock guys that explode, for example, the spikes that fall, for example. I
well,
mean, you're still.
it's like how I what I mentioned earlier. It's like you got to pick and choose when you want to just go balls to the wall fast or actually like, precision like gameplay where it's like, okay, well, I got to like, neutralize this enemy. So I can't just be running super fast all the time. Like
I'm not
head
trying to
first into
run
every.
super fast all the time, but one hit and you lose most of that progress. Like, I am very adept at playing Sonic. I've been playing it my entire life. It's still frustrating to play the game, get 30 something rings, and then get hit by something you forgot about because the screen's aspect ratio is garbage. So, then you lose all that progress, and it's like, oh, now I gotta collect all these rings again. And that's just the way
Says
I
the man
play.
who was just talking about wanting to zip through levels.
Yes, because that's the most fun. As Supersonic,
See,
flying through
see
the
this,
levels is the most fun to me.
this is what I'm saying about Sonic fans. They want it to be like super fast, but now we're mad that we're getting hit sometimes. It's just a thing.
No,
I mean,
I'm mad at the
that's
consequence of getting hit and losing the progress of collecting all of my rings.
Sonic is a
yeah,
platformer. Everybody has to accept
yeah.
it.
Well,
I'm
it
just ahead of the
is,
curve.
and
It
if
is.
you like look at it, like a lot of people, put it in the genre as a 2D platformer. It's not like gotta go fast, simulator.
Well, I don't know if you guys know about this enemy. Like, there's this part in Marble Hill Zone when you're going fast and you're collecting all these rings and you're going real fast, and there's one of those blue guys that he gets the spikes out, spike clothes. Hits me like every time. He's there in the path, and it's the
Yeah,
most obnoxious thing.
yeah, yeah. When you're on the top,
Yeah,
I actually think he's designed to just get you off the top. I actually think he's there. He's there
such a
on
jerk.
but
But
he's
that's my problem with Sonic's pacing is like they make it seem like you want to go fast and going fast is cool and exciting and then you get hit.
well, yeah.
And
All
that's
right.
a
Yeah, but like
problem in its design in general.
I
Like do
mean,
they want you to go fast or not? Cuz they're touting this thing like oh you can go fast, you can spin, there's loop-de-loops and ramps and all these things and it shows itself as a speed game. That's why there's such a big disconnect with the fan base because it's advertised as a speed game.
Yeah, but yeah. So I guess if I could weigh in my final thoughts before giving the point, Dan, do you have anything more on Sonic Three's pacing?
uh, not particularly. I just have a defense for when Sonic gets hit.
All right, go ahead.
So it's not it's quick. So when Sonic gets hit, obviously, yeah, like you lose your rings, but you have the option of getting some of that rings back. So as long as you always get a ring back, you can't die. With Sonic power-ups, they eventually you like unless you have like one saved up, you lose it forever, and then you gotta go through the stage in hopes to finding another one.
Yeah, there's weight to
So,
my consequences. Or there's weight to my actions, I mean. There's consequence.
well, and there's this way to not getting hit in Sonic.
No, I
Don't get
mean,
hit,
if you
and then
don't have
and you
Chaos
get
Emeralds, then
and
that.
you get rewarded for skilled gameplay.
If you have Chaos
Mhm.
Emeralds.
Yeah, I
Which, if
mean,
you don't know where those rings are, you're going to spend a bunch of time looking for them. I mean,
yeah, but
I mean,
that's
they're pretty generous with them. But
yeah,
anyway,
I mean, I know where they are, so.
so pacing, if we're gonna talk about story, I'd argue that Super Mario World really doesn't really have one, um, and Sonic Three does. Steve makes an excellent point about the level design. That if there is a level in Super Mario World that's not good, or in anyone's opinion, not good. It doesn't last very long, which is kind of nice. I know Sonic 3 comes under fire a lot. It's not my own personal preference, but people don't like the Egyptian level. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Sandopolis.
Sandopolis.
Yeah, Sandopolis. Yeah. So people don't like that level. They don't like the casino level. And the problem is that those are two of the longest levels. So you're kind of stuck there and you can't really go around them. You have to go through them, right? And at least the first time you play.
Which you
Um,
can avoid certain levels in Super Mario World, so that's nice. If you don't like them, you don't have to play them.
there is an inherent problem in the speed gameplay in Sonic in that, it is either A, you're just watching the gameplay, or B, something is going to stop you eventually, and it's never really elegantly done, but it is an element of Sonic. I personally think that, Sonic is a platform game. You do need to play the game sometimes, and, you know, my own thoughts about how people feel about these games and the speed of them aside. I think that Steve is probably absolutely right when he says that Super Mario World probably has the greatest pacing of any game ever made. That's probably correct. The game certainly doesn't overstay its welcome, so I'm actually going to give this point to Super Mario World. So that is 1-2. So
Oh boy.
our next category is X Factor. X Factor can be what you guys want to talk about. It's what you think should make the game put above the other, and X Factor is a different category in which you guys are free to get on your tree stump for a limited amount of time, talk about what you want to talk about uninterrupted, and then we'll switch over to the other player. So no defense arguments this time, boys. Just you and your stump. Tell me why your game is better. We're going to start with Dan.
Okay. Okay. So obviously, Knuckles was introduced into the series and is a playable character. Um, Offers different gameplay. Can glide, whatnot, climb walls. Unlike our last episode, this game does the 2D and 3D parts better than Mega Man X7. Sonic can actually move in different directions while in 3D mode, which honestly was very unique for its time and on the Genesis at that. The save feature was added into the game as it's much bigger than the other two games, basically two games in one. You can revisit stages after the game is completed for an easy 100%. No playing the game from the beginning. If you want to try and collect all like the Chaos Emeralds or Hyper Emeralds, you can just pick a stage that you like and go from there. Brand new mini games were added. That they think they only just had one mini game in both one and Sonic 1 and 2. So the fact that you got like three different mini games and one special stage, it just adds a lot of replay ability to the game. Um, the shield was deeply expanded on, like I mentioned before, as three different shields. If you play as Tails as a partner in single player mode, um, he has the ability to pick up your character and fly and glide with them for a bit, which I believe you could not do in Sonic 2. Um, Sonic and Tails get new abilities to use in the game. Tails can fly. Sonic has an enhanced attack with like his midair, completely unique to this game. Um, all the way back from Sonic 1, the game boasts an impressive 60 FPS, which was unheard of back in the day. They needed these frames as the game will put you in situations where you're just like flying, you're like zooming across. So the added frames actually helps like the game not look choppy when you're like, flying all around. And
Blast
then
processing, dude.
yeah, I mean, and all this was done on the Genesis. I mean, I'm surprised like it could like do a game with 60 FPS. It's pretty crazy.
I actually
And then
did
the
not
last,
know it was 60 FPS.
yeah,
Are you sure the
and the
Genesis was 60 FPS, or was the version of the game you played?
no, no, the Sonic one that had a 60 FPS
Yeah, I didn't know
and
that.
up. Yeah, it's crazy.
Makes sense why all the characters would need so many frames then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. And then the last thing I have is the lock-on cartridge. So you could combine two games was actually very unique. Think of it as like DLC before there was actual DLC in today's world. And that's all I've got for my X Factors.
Nice. All right. Steve, the stump is yours.
All right. There's a lot of X factors for Super Mario World. First of all, they have the new spin jump, the new cape power up. Um, it the cape power up is like more versatile than anything else that's come before that. So it was like, you get a new move, you get additional flight options like a screen clear. Like it was pretty crazy the amount of stuff that one power up could do. It kind of makes up for the other power ups. Like from three, you don't have as many power ups, but the cape does more than like the Tanuki suit, for example. Um, it's the first time that Yoshi appeared, which he spawned all of this whole another set of games, like the Yoshi games and all that. So, his first appearance was pretty cool, and added a bunch of more elements to your gameplay. You know, made Mario different. That was really heads up on their part. Um, let's see. I got the new Ghost House levels. They added a new like puzzle element to the game. I'm pretty sure they had some ghost levels in Mario 3 as well, but this game just fleshed it out a little bit more, put your puzzle solving skills to the test. This game had the secret world, the Star Road, where you get additional warps to other levels, and also or to other worlds, and also added an extra difficulty and the ability to get the different colored Yoshis, which was a fun little addition. Even if it didn't like change the gameplay a huge amount, it was still really cool. Um, all of the levels are replayable. You don't have to go through the different acts to get to them. You just pick whatever one you want on the world map. Um, there is a new minigame in this. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like roulette almost. With when you get 100 goal points at the end of a stage, you can get a bunch of lives for that. They added the P-switch palaces, which were kind of neat because they were hidden except for the first one, and they added blocks in the levels all over the world, so it was kind of neat. It had some lasting effects on other levels based on what you did and found the P switches. If you did the extra levels at the end of Star Road, you got new overworld look, and the Koopas changed to have a special mask. So in game, it's kind of just a cool little Easter egg. If they kind of reward you in a non-game specific way. We're looking at Supersonic here for doing the hard stuff, and you didn't have to do it to get all the parts of the game, which is nice. It's just a graphic change. Um, Also, they had the save file in this game, which is new to the series. 3 didn't have a save file, so that was good. Um, I just want to say, it was a really inspired Mario game in so many of the facets of Mario games before it. It's hard to believe how much of a punch they put into this game. It's gonna stand the test of time. We all know that, and uh, it's probably my favorite Mario game. It's like either that or Mario 64. Both of them are just so iconic and so special to me. You can't go wrong playing this game to this day. There's so many additions to the franchise starting here. It's the best thing they could have released on the SNES to show the new upgrades and the beloved character of Mario. It's just the X factors are abound in this game. It's surprising how much they upgraded, and that's all I got to say about X Factor.
All right. So with those arguments in mind, this is a pretty tough one too, because I think both games brought a lot to the table that weren't there previously, um, and I think I came into this that I was definitely going to award Super Mario World the X factor for a lot of the things that Steve said, and not least of which the extra world after. Um, and I do like that Sonic actually gives you something gameplay wise for being good and going and collecting all the Chaos Emeralds. I don't think it's a big lift, but gives you something so awesome at the end. Personally, I'm not a fan when games don't give you something awesome for 100% completion, and Supersonic really fits that bill. Um, but man, that I actually was looking away because I was looking up that 60 frames per second thing. I really had to look that up because I did not know that that was even a thing. back then. And that is a really significant X factor, especially for a game that is moving fast. And I think among other things about Sonic, I'm actually going to give the X factor point to Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Yeah, it's amazing that like I couldn't believe it myself when I saw that it was 60 FPS starting from Sonic 1. I was like, "Really? That does not sound right." So yeah, it was actually a thing back in the day.
All right, so that's going to bring us to our last category. So this part wouldn't even occur, I guess, if we didn't have a tie. I'd probably offer you some final thoughts, but now is the judge point. So I am going to take into account your guys' arguments, and I am going to award the judge's point to the game that I think is best. And this is again really tough. I like Sonic 3 and Knuckles a lot. I played a ton of it when I was a kid. I beat it with all the characters several times over. I don't even know how many times I've gone through this game. I've gone through this game so much that I think some of the things that, Steve brought up as flaws in the game were things that I just didn't even recognize because I had naturally played around and like adapted and mitigated around a lot of these problems just from playing the game so much. So I really love it. But, I think history kind of has told its tale. Super Mario World launched a lot of what we know Mario to be today, and there's a lot of enduring things that came out of it. And, Mario's just getting more and more popular, releasing more and more games. And it's just, I don't think it's ever really going to get old. And Sonic, unfortunately, I don't know what his team's problem is. They just keep ruining it um,
We're also
over and
looking at
over
you,
again.
Paper Mario.
You know, um, And yeah, I just, playing through them back to back was a really unique experience because I think if we had put these games up against any other games in their genre, they probably would have beaten most of them, right? But up against each other, it really shows you the flaws of each game. And I think that my judge's point has to go to Super Mario World as a result. So that is going to give Super Mario World a 3-2 victory over Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Congratulations, Steve.
Yes.
For those audio listeners only, Dan was wearing a Sonic baseball cap. He has now switched it to a Mario baseball cap. He was a closet Mario fan this whole time.
Oh, he did a good job sticking up for his
He did. He did.
almost as good game.
All right.
I tried.
So the next step is Steve is our winner. So Steve gets to just pick the game, whatever game he wants, modern or classic, and tell us what we're playing for the next 2 weeks.
So I had a back and forth moment here trying to decide which game to pick.
Oh
So
boy.
they're both N64 games that I was thinking of.
I know
And
one of them,
yeah,
I think.
so I, it was hard. I was thinking about picking Paper Mario, but the reason that I'm not picking Paper Mario is because Don and I are so familiar with that game already that I wanted to pick a game that Don and Dan haven't really played, but is one of my favorites on the system. And I I think that it is the best of its genre. I'm going to go with Banjo and Kazooie for the Nintendo 64.
Oh
All right,
boy, oh
awesome.
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
It's so good, dude.
Although,
Yeah, I need a little collectathon action in my life. Let's
Yeah,
go.
this
All right.
game, if you haven't played it and you're playing it for the first time, it'll probably take about, I don't know, I'd say probably 8 to 10 hours to collect everything in it. It's not
yeah,
too long.
I'm looking forward to playing it. I know how much you love Banjo Kazooie, so I trust your judgment.
Yeah,
Steve has good judgment. I'm not worried at all.
I'm ordering a shirt for the episode.
Very nice.
Custom make one.
If any of our listeners want to play along, it's in my top 5 games of all time. It's wonderful, and if you like the N64, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
And on that same note, we drone on for about an hour and a half telling you about the games that we are playing. But if you'd also like to drone on and tell us about the games that we are going to cover, please email us at thecableclubpodcast@gmail.com. This also works really well for question of the weeks. I think I speak for all three of us when we say we started this podcast genuinely just to find other people who like the retro titles as much as we do, or just like to talk about video games in general. So we want to hear from you. Also, if you've made it to this long in the video, you hung around for some reason, so please leave us a rate and review if you're listening on any of the major podcast services, or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. It definitely helps out the podcast, and it definitely keeps us going. Or even just leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. It helps us improve. So next episode will be a little less structured. It's going to be more of a retrospective on Banjo-Kazooie once we've all played it and we offer our thoughts. And join us in 2 weeks for when we talk about that. For now, game over, fellas.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world!